So here's what you're going to need. We've got a few bits on the table here. First of all, right in front of us there is the cable. That is a CD-ROM audio cable. So basically you can see there we've got 3 wires going into that plastic bit at the end. We've got a white, a black and a red, and 3 on the other side as well. If you've got a CD audio cable that has 4 wires, don't worry about it. We only need the 3 wires, so it doesn't matter how many wires you've got, as long as it's got a minimum of 3. Alternatively, you can buy separate little wires and make your own, but that's handy. You're also going to need a remote. Any infrared remote will do, so you can use your TV one if you want or whatever, but I personally like the Xbox 360 one. And you're going to need what else we got on here? You're also going to need, of course, a Raspberry Pi. You're going to need a little diode, a little infrared sensor, basically. So what that is, let's get one of these out. It's one of these little things, and you'll find the exact information of what it is, the model number and everything, in the video description. But you see it's got the 3 prongs, and yeah, it's just a little infrared sensor, pair of tweezers, some electrical tape, and very importantly, a little pin. Any old little sort of pin will do, but one with a little plastic top is always quite good, as it stops it digging in your fingers. So grab your cable, and you'll see where the wires go in, there's some holes just above them, like a few mil up. You just need to poke the pin in and push down on the silver, so push downwards towards where the wires are, and it will unclip it. So do that in each 3 of the holes. So that's 1, 2, 3, and we should find that plastic thing just pulls straight off. There we go. And what we're left with is brilliant. That's 3 female connectors, which is exactly what we want. And then we just need to do exactly the same on the other side. So pop it in, pop the pin in, exactly where the wires are, push down towards the wires. 1, 2, 3. There we go, and it pops straight off. Okay, now what we have to do is get our little diode, and with the bumpy bit, the protruding sort of section facing forwards, we want the white, black, red in that order. I mean, you can use whichever order you want, but for this guide I personally prefer to always do it white, black, red, then I know where I am. So it takes a little bit of finagling. That's one in, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bring it a little bit closer to me and out of camera action. But yeah, you just get them lined up, and they just slot straight in. Those prongs slot straight into those female connectors. There we go. That's in. So there you can see we've got all 3 pins in there. Now that's basically done. However, what we're going to need to do is get some electrical tape, because what you don't want happening is those touching each other. If they touch each other, the Pi is going to have problems in the future. So just spread these a little bit, like so you can just get behind them with a pair of tweezers. And then we need to cut a length of electrical tape, the length of those metal bits, and we only need to cut enough. I think I need some more electrical tape, right? Let's come back to that. Okay, you only need to cut enough for the middle one. So just measure it up, the whole length of the metal. We want the whole lot of metal covered up, that middle one, middle prong. And I mean, you could leave it the same width, but it can be a bit fiddly folding it over. So I'm just going to cut it in half, and then it makes it more manageable. Otherwise it could get tricky trying to get it around the pins. It gets stuck on the other pins. So let's get that back up here, and we want to pop that on the middle one. So just put it straight on from the very top right the way down. Okay, doesn't matter if it's slightly too big or whatever, and it doesn't need to be too pretty at this stage either. This is where the tweezers come in handy. You got to poke your way in there, push that electrical tape all the way around that wire, so sort of poke it through between the gaps, Tweezers definitely make this easier. It's very fiddly if you're just using your fingernails for this. And there you go. So it's kind of in there. Sorry, I've just had to bring it a little bit closer to me. And make sure that it's all totally covered. So you can see there, I don't know if you can make that out, but there's some silver showing. There's some metal showing. So we just got to fold it over, make sure it's all properly stuck down and it's all concealed. So no metal contact can take place with the other pins. So as you can see, the only one we need done is the middle because the other two can't touch each other anyway. So so that looks good. Yeah, that's done all the way from the top down to the bottom. And you could leave it like that if you want and just do it up with maybe a bit of electrical tape or something, make it look nice. But what I'm going to do, I prefer a little slightly more sort of professional looking finish. I'm going to get some heat shrink. So for that we need a hairdryer, any old hairdryer will do, and some heat shrink, which is very reasonable. It's very cheap to buy, and you know, any decent sort of electrical outlet should be able to sell that, or you know, on eBay or wherever. Like I say, very cheap, very reasonable. And so you just need to cut it so that it's the full length of the silver and also covers a little bit of the actual cable itself, the cable, the grey cable there. So mark it off and cut it. There we go, snip that off. And go down to the other end, push your pins nice and close so you can fit it in that little bit you've cut off. Slide it up, there we go, slide it all the way up, and you should be able to pull your push your pins together, get it inside there, nice and tight, and then what we've got is that's 5mm heat shrink, by the way. Just stick our hairdryer on, and what that's going to do is that's going to shrink that down. So that can shrink that to, this is to 2:1 ratio. So that can go down to half its internal size. So that sort of squish everything together, all nice and neat. You don't need the hairdryer on it for too long. Just maybe 30 seconds, something like that. Make sure you've got all of it nice and tight, and then there we go. And then once you're done, just give it a little feel, make sure it's all tight, which it is. Brilliant. And then that's going to go nowhere. That diode is well in there, it's nicely finished off, and that's basically done. There you go, solid, that's not going anywhere. So none of those electrical components are going to touch each other and cause any problems with the Pi. So the other end, all we've got to do now is attach them to the GPIO on the Pi. So we've got to count in 6 pins from the side edge there. So 6 pin, you want the white connector. There we go. And the 3rd pin along, you want the black connector. So 3rd pin along, black connector, and then the red connector goes on the very first pin on the back edge. Okay, so just on the back edge there. Oh. And they just slide on. There's no soldering required or anything like that. There you go, and that's all done. So if you're using an official proper specs diagram of the Raspberry Pi, what you'll find is red is pin 1, black is pin 6, and white is pin 12. But yeah, it's basically the top one on the right, and then on the bottom row the 3rd one along and the 6th one along. So so that's it, and then all you've got to do is set up your software side of things, which can be tricky, unfortunately, but you will get the hang of it. A lot of devices do work out the box. Things like Xbox remotes should pretty much work out the box, and you can you know, do that up and you're finished. Right, good luck.